Hi everybody and welcome to Josiah is Right. So we are at WonderCon, so I'm with Paul and Josh. Josh has been my friend for nearly 30 years and we're going to our first comic convention together. So it'll be a disaster. Alright.
So here we are outside. First of all, they thought I was taking a picture of them, so they're waiting for a photograph, and I was filming them, of course. And so I actually did that a couple times where I faked them out, and I only showed one. But here we are coming across from the Disneyland Toy Story parking lot. So we have our Disneyland passes, so we parked over there and walked over. Even though they probably don't want you to do that, and I probably shouldn't say it here, but that's what we did. I pay a lot of money for those parking passes. And we might have gone to Disney anyway, so there was Bumblebee. Here's Penny approaching. This is that food truck area, which is really cool. I love that they do this because you get a like little selection of food and you don't have to go far, because there are restaurants in the area, but they're not really, there's nothing that's that quick in the area. This Deadpool was awesome. I was joking that has to be Ryan Reynolds, but it is a fantastic looking one. So here we are approaching the convention center. Like I said, this is just past all those food trucks and sort of that courtyard area, and then here we have like you go through the security checkpoint. No, it's not security so much as like you check in, and then you have the area between the convention center and that check-in. You don't have to have a pass to get in that other area, I don't think. And here we are gearing up with our lanyards. The lanyards were a little plain. There's Penny getting hers, a little plain, they're just black. But we actually had to go back and ask for one for Penny because she wanted one as well. She felt left out. So she's excited to get hers. And here we are actually entering the convention floor. So I didn't get kind of coming into the room. I forgot to press record. But here we are entering the floor. You can just see everything. It's a big convention. I feel like it wasn't as chaotic in a good way as last year, so it wasn't as busy, but I don't know. We went only on Sunday last year and only on Sunday this year. So there's some original comic book art as we swing back around to Josh pushing Penny in the stroller. And here is, I have this because Josh and I were talking about this. He'd never seen an original comic book page. Obviously, I'd worked with artists in my own comic book company, so I'd seen it. But I was explaining to him how it works essentially in the process and how it's drawn and inked and all that stuff. And he was aware of it, but he'd never actually seen it because we grew up as comic book fans, he and I as kids together, but he'd never actually seen it. Here's the Tim Burton original Batmobile. This is actually from the Peterson Automotive Museum in LA. So because we were first, is that legit or is it a reproduction? And Josh actually pointed out the sign, which you'll see in a little bit here, and that is the car from Hornet Green, or Green Hornet, the Hornet Green, yes. And I'm not going to edit that out. The Green Hornet, and but the Batmobile is amazing. And I'll cut to a closer shot of that sign first here, and then also I'm going to cut back. So there's a sign where it talks about Michael Keaton's Batman, and Pittsburgh as well. We were talking about that. Josh got to meet him in high school, I think, so because as Pittsburghers, we all hang out eventually. And here is Penny, and I'm going to pan over to the car in a second. You're going to see that handprint. These cars were so dusty. I couldn't believe they were so dusty. Like, I get some kind of special cloth to dust those things off. And someone obviously smacked their hand on there, which I'm glad they did because it made the dust apparent. And then just a shot of the con floor. And I think this is the shot here. No, it's not. But yeah, there it is. That's Marv Wolfman, that guy in the kind of the crazy shirt. So if you know comics, you know some of his amazing work, such as creating Blade. And I pointed him out to Josh. He went back and forth like 2 different times. I've met him at another convention because he knows Mark Evanier, who was a former teacher of mine. But so I kind of used that as my introduction. He was nice. He's a comic book guy, so like us all, he's a little bit awkward, but very nice man. Didn't talk to him at this convention. So here's the IDW booth. I love IDW's spinny film. It's just so simple, but it's, you know it's them. And then over here, approaching Skybound and Walking Dead. So Paul checked this one out, and I was basically just kind of following him, and we're actually probably looking for him. So a lot of this convention is Judy and I wondering where Paul and Josh were, basically. So we would look behind us and not see them, and oftentimes in that instance, they were ahead of us. So here's J. Scott Campbell's table. It's funny because, Gen 13, some comics he did, I remember when I was a kid, and now I guess he just kind of does, essentially he's a pinup artist. I don't know that he does real art. I mean, that's real art, don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean, like comic book page art. So here we have Super 7 Air collectibles. I got the Robotech. It was more expensive than I realized, but it's an awesome collectible. It's cool to have. And Ghosts and Goblins, and actually played that today with Paul after we came back on the Switch, so the Nintendo Online thing. So, and here, I forget what this is. I don't know what it's called. But you're going to see this in pretty much its entirety because this was absolutely Penny's highlight. First, the dog. She saw that from across the floor. And I've seen this at other conventions, at WonderCons in the past. And she saw that from a distance and pointed to it, wanted to go. That's a Belly's. We had one from before. WonderCon a few years ago when Judy couldn't go, I bought for her. So now Penny picked that one. It's a Shiba Inu, but it kind of looks like our dog. But look at Penny here. she instantly had fun, and just this, she had so much fun with these inflated donut things. She just could live in this room. We didn't take her out of the stroller because once you take her out, she probably won't go back in, and shortly you'll see her out of the stroller when we couldn't get her back in, even though, well, she did go back in when she got tired enough, but it's challenging to walk with a kid, and it's tricky enough with a stroller depending on how crowded the convention is. And there's my favorite view in the world, holding Penny's hand, walking through a Comic-Con floor, and she heard the Star Wars music, and that's why she stopped. That's her little Hulk Hogan hand gesture to, like, when she hears music, she started to do. So she's trying to figure out where it's coming from, and she doesn't know. So that's Penny for her. And here we are approaching. This is where the Star Wars music was coming from. This awesome, like, sort of Death Trooper, the black stormtrooper. Penny didn't care for him and kind of hid away, but he was trying to be friendly, which was cool. And so you can see here that R2-D2, or R2 unit rather, I should say, was awesome. And the girl with the lightsaber there, the green Jedi, she gave Penny some Star Wars stickers, and Penny picked an Obi-Wan. Very sweet, cool. And these droid makers, they're always among my favorite things at the conventions, and these ones were really good. And I'm going to show you this because, so Captain America was here, and I'm filming this, but you don't see is Penny's right there. So just watch Captain America, and this is why conventions are cool, and it's a great culture of fans. There's a lot of toxic stuff online, but in these conventions, it's almost always like this. He very nobly gestured to let Penny go through. Like, you see me with the camera, obviously, but Penny wanted to see Wally, and that was really cute. And here is Penny, just kind of hanging out, listening to stuff, and that dark black bluish R2 unit was over to our left, and you'll see him again in a bit, but she was actually afraid of that, so she kind of was taking off in the other direction and didn't want to go in there. She's just kind of hanging out with Josh and chilling and just in a sort of open space, but she got unfortunately afraid of the droid. She kept wanting to see it, but she was afraid of it. I felt so bad. But this R2 unit was one of the coolest ones I've seen, so it had all this music and stuff, Star Wars music, which is fun, but all the flaps would open on it, and unfortunately I didn't get any footage of that. I feel so terrible because I'd stopped right before that, and there's a reason, because as I said, you can see the lights and things. Penny got scared of the droid and wanted me to hold her, so I wasn't able to film once I was holding her because she was like clinging to me, and I felt bad. But she wanted out, and then after that, she was cool to go back in the stroller because she kind of got scared into it. See those flaps open, but the stuff on the head opens up too. And this is kind of one of the last things you'll see is there's the firecracker mask. I'm working on a mask video that Paul and I will be doing, so it's cool to see some boxed mask toys, the rhino below it. Both of those we had as kids. I have a firecracker today, which is actually a replacement, but it's cool to have it again. And seeing some of the tires, there's Captain Power figures, some other stuff in here you'll see. The Swamp Thing, I was really into those actually as a kid. I didn't have a lot, but I really liked Swamp Thing. I always have liked Swamp Thing. And that cartoon, I was probably the only person that watched it and liked it, but it probably doesn't hold up well. Some more masks. The one in the back there, the vampire, I had that one. That was one of my favorite ones as a kid. It had the Firefly as well, but I liked it okay, but that one behind there, he was one of my favorite mask vehicles and figures. And there's Penny back in the stroller, content, kind of scared into it. That Ninja Turtle Shredder mobile thing is awesome. And the Batmobile, which is cool to see it boxed. I had that Batmobile. I sold it on eBay a few years ago. Kind of regret that one. It was a cool toy. We had it originally from probably Christmas in the mid-1980s as a family. And again, the Captain Power, I was just kind of in awe of those. And the final few things you're going to see here, these awesome Batman cowls that represent pretty much every Batman there is. It's a little bit glary, but you can see it pretty well. There's the, going from your left, you have Keaton all the way to Affleck, and then the Shazam costume to end things out for WonderCon 2019. So that was WonderCon. Josh, what do you think?
Awesome.
It was awesome, right? Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Did you go to WonderCon? Let me know how it was. Bye. Say bye, Penny.
Bye.
Say bye. Say bye.
Bye, Penny.
Bye, Penny.
You should say